everybody, my name is Deb Pasley. I'm from the Midlife Hub and I'm here today with Laura Walker celebrating the launch of her brilliant new book, Dancing with Fear and Confidence. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to have a quick chat with Laura and just find out a little bit more about why you made this book and what you're hoping to get from it. So hi Laura, thanks for joining me.
Morning, thank you.
So maybe first of all, tell us a little bit about you.
Cool. Well, I'm in midlife too, so I'm hoping that means that obviously I can relate to the topic. I'm probably slightly ahead of some of the people on the hub, and also I've transitioned quite a lot about my life. So one of the prompts around writing the book was there was a lot going on for me. So I got divorced, I was made redundant. I transitioned through menopause. There was the whole, my kids were growing up and leaving home. So it was lots of prompts to transition. So I took the opportunity to set up a new business, but also to go back to school. And it was the research that I did when I did my master's that prompted the book.
What inspired you to write the book?
I never ever thought I had a book in me. I'm not one of those people. A lot of people are. I dream of being an author. I dream that I, have a book inside me. That's never occurred to me, quite honestly. It was only once I'd done the research into midlife career reinvention and what that involves, because I really wanted to understand it more. People kept talking to me about it, organisations and also friends and family, and obviously I was going through it. So I decided to do my research on that. And it was only when I started to present it at conferences, so at research conferences for coaching and careers, people kept coming up to me and saying, you should write a book. And it was only when they said that to me, and I shouldn't really be that bothered in some ways. I think, why am I that bothered about what other people say? But they're like, no, other people need to know this stuff. You need to do it for them. And that's what prompted me to think about it a bit more. And also it was about reach. So I work with people individually, but you can only coach so many people. Yeah. So if I could write a book, then I could share what I discovered with a lot more people. So that's why.
How does it differ from other self-help books?
Yeah, I've read my fair share of self-help books, as you can probably imagine. And,
me too.
Yeah, and a lot of them are quite superficial, if I can kind of say that. So there's this kind of idea that you get really clear about what you want, and then you work out a plan to get there. But what I discovered in my research and just in life and general conversation, just makes sense, doesn't it? That if you don't know what you want, that sort of advice about be really clear about what you want and go for it doesn't help. And a lot of people in midlife just know that they don't want to carry on doing what they're doing now for the next 10, 15, 20 years, but they don't know what they want to do. They know there's a dissatisfaction that's in them that's growing. There's a curiosity about maybe there's something else that I can do. They don't know what it is. So that's why I felt I wanted to write a book that helps them with that part. And that's why it's different. It's grounded in research and it doesn't assume, what you want to do. It helps you to discover more about yourself and understand what that sort of transition is all about, so that you are ready when you do know a bit more about what you want.
Yeah. Who do you think would benefit from reading it?
I think it'll bring most benefit to people who are approaching midlife or in midlife, who are either stuck, so they feel like they don't want to do what they're doing currently for the next 15, 20 years. They don't know. So not knowing when you're 40, 50, 35, whatever, it's quite hard because you feel like you should know by then. You're an adult, you should know these things. But actually, most people don't. So people who are either feeling stuck, dissatisfied in some way, unsure, or are just even a little bit unclear, or even just curious, because I think one of the things about the book that we kind of start off with is just uncovering what's going on for people in midlife and what's going on for you to help you make sense of why you feel the way you feel. And then move on to, okay, so what are the things you really need to know about if you want to make a shift in your life or your career, and then get practical. So I think it's kind of for anybody who is either curious or stuck.
What do you hope people will get from the book?
To be completely honest, I wanted to write a book that I was proud of, that was going to help people, but also that was a little bit disruptive. Yeah. So that didn't just kind of recycle all the kind of the panaceas, the, you know, the kind of simple things that lots of people say. I wanted to kind of make people think a little bit differently about themselves, but also about the topic, you know, about midlife, you know, to shift away from some of the myths and assumptions about, you know, midlife crisis, or, you know, kind of it's a time of questioning. It is a time of questioning, but it's actually, you can do something with that questioning. You know, it's not just, you don't have to just accept these kind of phrases that are out there in society. So I did want to kind of disrupt the narrative that's out there, which I know we have in common. So we have that clearly in common around the Midlife Hub, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're disrupting the kind of prevailing narrative, and I wanted that too. So hopefully the kind of two are mutually supportive with that. But yeah, I did want to slightly disrupt. I really genuinely don't think it is about survival. I mean, one of the things I talk about in the book is about midlife as a pivotal point in our lives, and there's loads of evidence to back this up, you know, medical evidence as well, you know, as well as leadership materials, psychology, loads of stuff out there which just shows that it's a pivotal point in our lives. And we're in the middle of our youth and older age, we're in the middle of society, younger, older generations in organisations. And how we pivot is really up to us as a collective, not just individually. It's quite difficult. There are things that you definitely need to know in terms of shifting your life, but as a group of people together, we can make a real difference to our own lives, but also to, you know, society's view of this particular population and this particular community. So I think it is partly, the book is an individual book. So it is about, you know, how do I make sense of what's going on for me? How do I get to know myself better? How do I uncover what matters most to me? And it explains that, but also gives people the chance to give it a go and to start that discovery process. But it's also more than that. So if you can, you imagine lots of people doing the same sort of thing, you know, it's kind of about a movement, and how do we kind of shift the conversations that we have individually, between people, as groups, as bigger groups, and so on.
And what should people do once they've read it?
Good question. I'm of the same view. I think it's great to pause and reflect and to understand and take stock and, you know, think things through. But ultimately, you do have to take a step. You know, you have to step onto the dance floor in my kind of dancing with fear and confidence metaphor. You need to actually do something, and sometimes that's just an experiment. It might not be it probably won't be a wholesale change in one go, but just trying something out, doing something a little bit differently, saying yes to something. By knowing yourself better, you can make much better choices about what you choose to try and what you don't choose to try, and those be deliberate choices. So I think for me, it's about taking a step, thinking about the next chapter, the next stage, the next series of moments, rather than necessarily thinking wholesale about, I've got to get this perfect at this stage and have a complete map for the rest of my life. I think that's a lot to ask for any individual, but also from a book. I mean, it's never realistically going to happen. But I think certainly people who've read the book have told me that they are really confident to take the next step and to know a broad direction of travel that they're heading in. And I'm really happy with that.
I think that, you know, that's certainly how I felt. And I think it's also that, you know, just saying, actually make a date with yourself to check back in regularly, to kind of keep yourself reflecting and thinking and reconnecting with the book. You know, certainly, I know my copy's an advanced copy, so I'm not going to show it because it's not the right cover, but it's kind of
I can show mine.
Yeah. Going back and referring to, it is something you can dip in and out of and kind of refresh yourself easily on certain aspects. And I think that's important, to keep yourself motivated and keep yourself grounded in what you first feel when you read the book. in a way then to kind of keep yourself honest, because days, normal life kicks in. And in order to break that cycle and to make that transition, you've got to do something different to keep yourself going forward. So making a date with yourself to check in, I think, is once a week is important. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck with the launch. It's a fabulous book, and we wish you all the success.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support in doing this. I appreciate it.